So here's how it works. First of all, an organic farmer's or a processor's application fees are now covered by you. Almost all of them. The taxpayer subsidizes the upfront costs of becoming an organic farmer or processor. Now that, I'll admit, is restricted to North America. Your taxes don't go to fund the Chinese organic farm in Beijing. Not yet, anyway. So you fund this, and the USDA national program costs an organic farmer about $1,000 to $3,000 a year, depending on the farm and depending on the productivity of the farm. And they get 75% of that back from the state, from you. So what have they got to lose? Right? The promise of doubling their farm gate price for whatever their commodity is, and they're covered up front on the application fees. All of that money, after the inspector is paid and the lights are kept on at CCOF head office and the other 100 or so USDA accredited organic certifying agencies, all of that money goes into activism. This upfront subsidy was legislated under the guise of helping organic farmers. Because who doesn't want to help organic farmers? Or perhaps a better question here, who wants to be perceived in any way, shape, or form as being opposed to helping organic farmers? I mean, that's just bad PR, right? So, it turns out though, that any organic business can qualify. As I said earlier, it applies not only to farmers, but to processors. In Canada, for instance, we have about 4,500 organic farms. We have 1,200 processors. So that's one processor for every 3 1/4 farms. So either those farms are really productive, or the processors are really inefficient, or guess what? They're importing stuff from China, Mexico, and Brazil. Sorry, I don't have the numbers for the United States, but I just finished writing a report with Dr. Jay Lair on that. And those are fresh in my mind for Canada. Can you imagine having a 4-to-1 ratio of processors to farmers? They're obviously bringing in raw ingredients from elsewhere to stay in business. So again, the Chinese farmer isn't covered, but the North American processor is. This tax subsidy is being forced down every taxpayer's throat in the name of, as I said, helping organic farmers, and who doesn't want to do that? But it also goes to processors. So for instance, and this is just the most recent example, I literally pulled this off the internet just days ago, Good Vibes Coffee Roasters in Conway, New Hampshire. The certification process requires extensive record keeping that allows inspectors to track a bag of roasted coffee from the shelf to its organic farm. The process is time-consuming and expensive. So what? So you have to pay for it because they have this stupid process that's time-consuming and expensive? And that, by the way, is the owner of Good Vibes. Just in passing, how much coffee do we produce in the United States? None. Right? So why are we paying Good Vibes coffee roasters 75% of their upfront application fees so they can purchase certified organic coffee and then be certified organic themselves as a processor? It's crazy. It's one thing, as I say, we're helping organic farmers. Hopefully it's domestic farmers. But this goes all the way through the whole food chain. So if we assume, as in all other sectors of agriculture, that you have sort of a similar situation in the United States as we do in Canada, you're way over leveraged in processing facilities. Way more than all the organic farmers in America could ever supply with raw ingredients, especially if it's coffee that doesn't even grow here. And you're subsidizing those processors up front. And you might think, well, $1,000 to $2,000. Well, I don't like it, Misha, but does it really matter? Well, that's just the upfront cost. Like the drug pusher who goes around and gives out free drugs, right? He's going to make money in the long run. He knows that. So they get these people up front. They can't go wrong. Their certification fees are covered. But here's the part I'll bet you didn't see coming. After a farm or processing facility has been inspected and is certified, each transaction from that farm or processing facility has to also be certified on a case-by-case-by-case basis. Now the good news is it's just a paper certification because they're not going to send the inspector out again. But because of this additional need to certify each and every transaction from a certified organic farm or processing facility, the farmer or processor pays a royalty to his USDA accredited certifying agency. The policing body, in other words, is supposed to make sure you're following the rules, that you're not using Roundup or synthetic ammonium nitrate, which is fine to use, but these guys are organic. They're not supposed to use that. The certifier, the policing body, collects a royalty of 1.5% to 3% of the gross revenue of that transaction. The gross revenue, not the net or the profit. So the people that our federal government, see, the federal government didn't want to go and hire a bunch of union inspectors, so they let the organic private sector handle this on their behalf, which you almost have to support, except for this royalty deal. You see, that's the same royalty structure that McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and every franchise uses. 1.5% to 3%. When you're doing poorly, you're punished. You pay closer to 3%. When you're doing very well, it's 1.5%. And it encourages you to do well. But you're paying that to McDonald's. Let's use them as an example. What are you paying that franchise fee to McDonald's restaurants for? What are you really getting out of McDonald's? What? Sorry, I couldn't hear the guess, and I'd really like to give you credit if you got it right, but I'll just go ahead and say it. The brand. You're paying for the McDonald's brand, which they spend millions of dollars beefing up, pardon the pun. What is the organic farmer or the organic certifier paying for? Are they paying for the CCOF brand? Now, I don't know if any of you buy organic food, but have you even heard of CCOF? You've heard of the USDA though, haven't you? That's the brand you're paying for. Right there on the apple, the certified organic apple from China, by the way, shipped here in big crates, or grapefruit or oranges, so you can get them at Whole Foods. Right on each piece of fruit, USDA certified organic, that's the brand. Who cares which of the 100 USDA accredited agencies actually did the paperwork to get that certification? It's the USDA's brand being rented out. You're paying for it up front, and you subsidize the USDA. The organic program has yet to break even, by the way. You're still subsidizing that. And then the USDA brand goes on the product. And now you know why the organic activists, why their first stop in the 1990s was with the federal government. They wanted the USDA brand. They knew that without it, their little revolution would simply have taken too long. Best of all, from the hippie organic activist perspective, there's no testing. None. Whether that apple came from China or from a lovely orchard down the road in Washington State. And in which case it might actually be an organic apple and might offer some benefits for what you're paying for. Either way, that USDA brand is applied regardless. And as I say, no testing. Now, I've written about this and taken a lot of flack. Does anyone remember the Heartland Institute coming out with that billboard with the Unabomber on it? Did you see that? And they got beat up for it? Well, it's true. I mean, the Unabomber stands for a lot of the things that Al Gore stands for. That was the point Heartland was making at the time. Well, I got beat up for this one. I said, even Bernie Madoff couldn't have conspired to create a system like this. You can't say that. He's a convicted criminal. Yeah, I can say that. Bernie Madoff could not have dreamed of getting this kind of fake system up and running with the reputation of the USDA and get LU to pay for it. It's amazing. So what I did when I took a bit of flack is I doubled down. I said, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said Bernie Madoff. I should have said John Gotti.